Oh, hello there, friends. It is I, the Prince of Eurogamer, Ian Higton, and I bid you welcome to my humble palace, which is something that I can totally afford on video game journalists' wages. Honestly. Now, recently, I got to play the first 3 hours of Ubisoft's upcoming reboot of the Prince of Persia franchise, Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown. And in this here video, I'll be telling you about the 7 things that you need to know about the game. Starting with, why all the hate?
Hope is the only thing that keeps us
Now,
fighting.
normally, when I do a video like this one, I'll download a trailer beforehand so that I can insert the logo at an appropriate time in the video. See, that wasn't appropriate at all. Anyway, when looking at the comments underneath the reveal trailer for this game, I noticed a huge amount of negativity. So huge, in fact, that I downloaded a special plugin for Chrome called Return YouTube Dislike that allowed me to see both the thumbs up and thumbs down on the video. And oh my, were there a lot of thumbs down. 57,000 thumbs down to be precise, compared to only 14,000 thumbs up. Yikes. So why the hatred? Well, there seems to be multiple reasons in the comments, including the fact that some people don't know that anyone can have dreadlocks, except for maybe me because I'm balding, and the admittedly very bizarre choice of music for the trailer, which really doesn't fit the Prince of Persia vibe at all. The main reason for the hate, however, seems to come from fans of Prince of Persia: The Sands of Time trilogy, which started in 2003. Turns out these fans are expecting a reboot to be inspired by that series and not the original 2D platform game from 1989, because, well, I guess that game is probably old enough to be most of those commenters' parents. Incidentally, however, Ubisoft is working on a Sands of Time remake, but that keeps getting delayed, so I can see why there is some frustration coming from members of that fanbase. Hey Prince, when is your remake coming out anyway? Never! Oh no. Regardless of the era of inspiration, however, I quite enjoyed my time playing Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown, and I'll let you know more about my initial first impressions later on in this video, because it's finally time to tell you about the remaining 6 things that you need to know about Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown. Ah yeah, that one was way more appropriate.
There's a different main character.
First up, you'll probably want to know that the main character in Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown is not in fact a prince. Hell, he's not even a character that is featured in previous games before. He's a brand new character called Sargon, who is a member of an elite warrior clan called the Immortals. Now, in most of the previous games, the main character has remained unnamed, with most people just referring to him as the Prince, whether he was in fact a prince in the game or not. And Sargon here is 100% not royalty. He is good at royally kicking people's asses though, as the tutorial section, which features him saving the city of Persepolis from an invading enemy force, goes to show.
Hell, there's even a different prince.
Hassan, Prince of Persia.
Step forward, Sargon.
Having Sargon in the starring role doesn't mean that there isn't a Prince of Persia, however. In The Lost Crown, the actual Prince of Persia is called Prince Hassan, who we meet just after the tutorial section of the game. Look, here he is bestowing an award on Sargon for doing a very good job of killing people. A sash? I mean, sure, it's a symbol of distinction reserved for the most valiant of warriors only, but it's not like I can spend it down the shops on some food, is it? How about a little bit of gold, you stingy old prince? Anyway, in a highly predictable series of twists based on the old rescuing a princess trope, shortly after this scene, Prince Hassan is kidnapped by one of Sargon's immortal pals, Anahita, who suddenly does a double cross, which then kickstarts the main plot of the game.
Move out of my way. What the hell was that?
Still a child.
I'll find you, Hassan. That sword swinging wasn't just for flair.
So what about that setting then?
Aside from the tutorial section, the majority of the main plot that's not set in or around the palace takes place on Mount Kaf, which, according to my lengthy research that consisted solely of typing Mount Kaf into Wikipedia, is a mysterious mountain said to be the homeland of the Jinn that was made out of shining emerald. The Lost Crown's version of Mount Kaf didn't look like it was made out of emerald to me, but after exploring for 3 hours it became pretty clear that it has many different biomes, each one consisting of slightly different visual themes and containing a mixture of repeating and unique enemies.
If you haven't already guessed, this game's a Metroidvania.
What does this mean? Well, aside from passing jumping puzzles that can only be solved by returning later with something you found further up the mountain, there are also secrets that can only be discovered by returning later with something you found further up the mountain, and side quests that can only be completed by returning later with something you found further up the mountain. Or, I guess, further into the castle as well, because the castle goes quite low down into some dungeons. Most of the things you'll find to help you on your way, however, come in the form of new weapons, like the bow or the chakram, but there are plenty of other things you can do and earn as you gallivant backwards and forwards across the slowly expanding map. Things like finding collectibles, buying upgrades, or even equipping stat-boosting amulets at something called a whack-whack tree, which I found very hard not to make a masturbation joke about.
These trees are special. They're called whack-whack.
Basically, if you've ever played and enjoyed an Ori game, or Metroid Dread, or, I don't know, Guacamelee, or Shadow Complex, then you should really feel right at home with this one.
But wait, how about merging the games? Merging.
But here's the thing, right? While The Lost Crown is a Metroidvania at heart, it still manages to take inspiration from other games in the series and merge them all together in a way that should mean that parts of the game will appeal to all fans of the series, be they fans of the 2D rotoscoped original or the newer ones like The Sands of Time. For instance, while the platforming feels more like the classic game, the combat is way more in keeping with the mechanics found in more modern Prince of Persia games, with things like blocks and parries and dodges. And in fact, there's so much nuance to the combat here that there's even this special training area that you can go to in order to hone your skills. And this is something that will come in very useful when it comes to tackling some of the boss fights in the game, because they can be rather intense to say the least. Oh, and this game even draws a line in the sand between the originals and the Sands of Time franchise by throwing time mechanics into the mix too. The timey-wimey bits that I experienced during the first 3 hours were few and far between, admittedly, but their presence suggests that maybe, at some point, Sargon might be able to wield them for himself. So, who knows? Maybe fans of the newer games will end up liking this one after all.
And finally, after all of that, I'm sure you're wondering what the Lost Crown is like to actually play. And you know what? It's okay.
It's hardly the most memorable Metroidvania I've ever played, and I don't think it's going to be regarded as a high point for the Prince of Persia brand overall, but it does what it does well. The movement is solid, the combat is fun and fluid, and the exploration and puzzles will entice you to keep on playing until you've uncovered the whole map. When it comes to the art style, it's generally nice, rather simple and cartoonish for some people perhaps, but it does work rather well for the 2D perspective. In terms of game length, I was told that the full game will last you around 20 to 25 hours, but I'm assuming that extra 5 hours there will be for the people who decide to listen to all the dialogue in the game, which, in my opinion, is far too prevalent, especially at the start. It's the worst part of the game for sure, all this incessant nattering, and honestly, if I'd been playing this game for fun rather than for a preview, I'd have skipped through the lot of it, because I've got the attention span of a fruit fly. Honestly, I reckon these lot are called the Immortals, because that's what you'll need to be if you're ever going to be able to sit through all of these talky sections without dying of boredom.
You're mingling with aristocracy now, eh?
Or trading in your swords to become a satrap. Laugh all you want. Who eliminated a general tonight, huh?
Don't encourage them, Sargon.
It just means you've impressed them. Yeah, he's right. You were impressive.
If you want to talk more quietly, I won't be far.
And that, my loyal subjects, is that. Hopefully this video has given you a better idea of what to expect from Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown, and hopefully it's convinced you that it's not really deserving of all the hate. Sure, it's not the fanciest, most groundbreaking Prince of Persia game ever, and it's definitely not the best Metroidvania game I've ever played, but still, it's fine, and if you like that genre of games, I think you're going to have a lot of fun with Lost Crown. Or at least you will once you get past all of that bloody dialogue. Anyway, thanks for watching, y'all. If you enjoyed this video, do give it a like. Subscribe to Eurogamer for almost daily videos about video games. And while I sit back and relax on my throne here, why not check out one of these other videos that are on screen and clickable right now. You know what? This throne is actually a lot comfier than it looks. It's a bit high up, mind, which isn't great considering I'm scared of heights, and it's really far away from my TV, so I have to use binoculars if I want to watch anything with subtitles in. Bloody toilet's miles away too.